I'm at the lower meadow. It's on our ground, but near the, as I showed you the other day, the Banyan Grove graveyard, where, well, I asked Supanyo to dig me a hole, and as it transpires, when it came to burying TomTom, well, I had a nice little service, buried him and did some chanting, and when it came to backfilling the earth nicely, there wasn't very much earth. So I said to Supanyo, well, where's the earth to fill the hole? And he clearly had used the hole that was already there. I was talking earlier and I saw him going off. I asked him to wait so I could find a suitable spot to dig a fresh hole, because of course if there's a hole already there, there's a chance it could be investigated on that spot again. So with the language barrier, these things are impossible to explain. So I've, having finished our ceremony and filled in as much as I could, I've been collecting rocks. Now, as it also the hole he'd had found, he really had only scraped some soil out of the bottom and wouldn't really dig any further because of stones. So I'm not allowed to dig as a bhikkhu, but I'm afraid I had to dig a deeper hole because this is a puppy, a dog. Apart from the respectful nature of burying it at a decent depth, it is a matter of hygiene and rural, well, where I come from, rural sort of bylaws, or just common sense, call it that. You dig it a good 4 or 5 feet down in depth. So I had to get in there with these crazy tools they have in India. You know, this broken, this is their idea of a spade. This pick. I was very careful not to damage any insects as best I could, but I had to dig. So I dug a deep hole. Consequently, of course, there was not enough earth to go back in. And now with this, if you can call it a wheelbarrow, I've been collecting rocks from all over the place and backfilling it so that nothing's going to go scraping poor TomTom up. He's very deep. I think this is a nice spot to have buried him. I managed to persuade he's an anagarika, so he's not even a samanera, so he's technically on just 8 precepts, but I managed to persuade him to put his robes on, and we did some chanting. I put some incense, candles and flowers in there with him and laid him nicely east to west. Not that that really matters, but I like to be sleeping in the correct direction, so we'll let him sleep in the correct direction too. That is, I think, with your facing, your feet to the east, facing east. So if you were in a Buddhist temple, your head would be facing the Buddha, not your feet. The reason being is this is the way the world goes round, in my theory. It's a nice way to go. I will continue to sort of finish off putting all these rocks in place, and then he'll have a suitable spot to, as we say, rest in peace. And now, having disappeared for a long time, Supanyo's probably come to tell me that my lunch is ready. But I'm not going to have lunch today. It's too late. I'm too hot. And I've had to work instead, so I'll skip that until tomorrow. The main thing is poor TomTom's been put to rest respectfully. Namo Buddhaya. Well, I finished backfilling with the rocks, and it rather reminds me of the cowboy kind of graves in the desert. But he is buried at some depth in earth also. This rocks was just to fill in the shortfall, and probably a good idea. It's fairly substantially covered now. So I will wheel my tools back, and we're beyond lunchtime now, so that's a thing of history until tomorrow. I have I'll scrape some of this grass back over to just camouflage the site. But as you see, it's a nice little location. That's the official graveyard in there for people, under the banyan trees. And apart from the electricity pylons, it's a very beautiful part of the world. All these electricity pylons, they rarely have electricity is just, well, most of the day, I suppose, that you have to bank on at least 4 or 5, 6 hours outage. And that would be fine if you had some approximate idea as to when that would be, but you don't. And sometimes it's all day. And I'm not sure why this is. I'm not complaining. It doesn't matter to me so much. But if you were running a family or a business, I don't know how you'd get on. For me, it's fine. I'm going to be living in a tent from the weekend onwards, I think. I've got a tent, which I had before, coming over. Someone's bringing for me. I'll try and turn the camera around. And, well, I kind of like living in a tent. I can be completely self-contained. So over by the jackfruit tree that I showed you the other day near the rocks, there's a nice area of flat ground. It's sort of 3 sides shielded by rock faces or rocks, but it's a little way, it's within the monastery grounds, so it's all within the Vinaya. We can move from kuti to kuti, that's perfectly fine within 3 months. But I still got my kuti, but maybe if one of the senior monks wants to come and stay, he can use that. And I'll stay in my little tent, I think, because it's a great little place to meditate outside, almost mosquito free, because you can zip it up, but still have it open, like a mosquito net, I suppose. But I think that'll be quite nice to continue with my practice and get settled in now. Now we've got through the initial settling in hiccups or ordinary aspects of life, really. Firstly, just getting here, arriving, settling in, then a little bit of concern with the immigration situation, which was nothing to worry about at all and was perfectly easily sorted out. Then poor TomTom. Now I have a little bit of an issue with the relationship between Anagarika, Samanera, Bhikkhu, that they don't understand, as they perhaps would in Buddhist countries, the point of being a monk sometimes, I think. It's not an easy option, it's not a way out, it's not a welfare state, as I've mentioned before. It should never be considered that. It's an opportunity to face up to suffering for really what it is, head on, and develop your skills internally to become free from suffering in this lifetime. And it should be considered as nothing else other than nothing. It's not a place to come and learn. It's not a place to come and develop skills. It's not a place to come and, this is only my opinion, it's not a place to do all of those things. It's a place to come and practice as the Buddha taught bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, to practice sila, samadhi, panya. And that is it, the Noble Eightfold Path. I don't care what anyone else says, however senior they are to me. It is not about learning, it is not about rites and rituals, it's not about all of this stuff. We should concentrate on the Buddha's teachings. In our chanting, it should be what the Buddha was teaching us. And this is the way we move forward and find within ourselves that tranquility, that peace, and also that harmony, that synergy with the supporting nature of the householders, the outside world, the lay people. We have to work together with them. And if monks are seen as being the same, just growing vegetables, growing flowers, building things, and even building huge organisations and charitable trusts, then how are they different to lay people? I don't think they are they? It's the same. I come from the business world, the corporate world. I come from commerce and industry. I come from an area, a background of financial services and, everything associated with that. And whenever I see any glimpse of that kind of ambition, intention, I just see that as the main root delusion of greed. And that leads to hatred, and it's fueled by delusion. And this is what we're here to extinguish, those 3 root defilements. It's that simple. So if I have to haul a few rocks around to bury the poor dog, I really don't mind that at all, even if it means missing lunch. because that is service in accordance with the Noble Eightfold Path. It might be a little bit bending some of the Vinaya rules, but the Buddha allowed for flexibility for sickness, and I think death covers sickness, and also prevention of sickness. You cannot leave dead animals around beyond noon. You know, this is the reason for my hurry, in case you're thinking, why didn't you leave it till this afternoon? It's something like 44 degrees here, even in my room. It's too warm for poor TomTom to lay. So with that in mind, I'll just leave it there. I've probably said way too much today. Thank you for watching. Namo Buddhaya.